hosting a manel. Do you know what is a manel? A manel is a panel with males only, something that women have been fighting against and vocal about it at every instance. And therefore, as I said, I had taken a vow that I would never, ever host a manel. And I'm doing exactly that today on International Women's Day. But you know, they say innovation comes by thinking different, by looking beyond the obvious. And today, we are going to celebrate some amazing men who have been wonderful allies to, to put forward the whole agenda of gender balance. Yes, you heard me right. It's about gender balance and not about gender equality. And we will talk and hear more about this when we go through today. But it is my immense pleasure to welcome and have with us today, as I said, some amazing men from a very diverse set of backgrounds, from the United Nations to sports on the ground, to NGOs, to businessmen, to investors, to doctors, to scientists, to media fellow men, and others who we are joining with us live as well as on LinkedIn. And we know that each one of them have played an amazing, amazing role because they truly believe that women hold up half the sky. And if we have to do it, we've got to do it together. And therefore, of course, together we thrive. Once again, a very warm welcome to all my fellow panelists. We don't need manels, we don't need wamels. We just need panels that are gender balanced. And therefore, that's what we are going to be looking forward from here on. And of course, I'm the representative of the women folks, so it is not exactly a manel. So thank you once again, and I think we're going to get started. We will have a very quick round of an initial, maybe a word or two from each of you. But ultimately, this is going to be a really informal, heartfelt chat. Let's just put it out there. What is it that we feel, right? And so, yes, I don't want this to be a question answer. I definitely don't want this to be, a speech. But I do hope that we're going to really talk from the heart, from us to everyone and back again. Yeah. Deal with everybody here. Yes. Okay. So to get us started, yeah, I am going to ask Dr. Rajan Ratna, Deputy Head and Senior Economic Affairs Officer from the United Nations ESCAP, Southeast Asia, to maybe start us off, because, the SDG goals is obviously one of the biggest things that people refer to when we talk about the International Women's Day, having come from the United Nations. So it's perhaps very fitting that we have you with us. And I know for a fact the kind of work that you're doing with women, but I'm not going to steal your thunder, isn't it? So Rajan, over to you, please.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you very much. And good morning, everybody, the panelists too. It is indeed a pleasure on a personal front as well as organizational front to be part of IDOBRO and Karan to invite us to share our thoughts. It's also one of the unique experience today to be in this panel. We are talking about women, but there are all men and only a women facilitator. So that's quite unique because even when we talk about gender equality, one of the things which are very mindful of that every panel in any meeting which we are doing, we want a presence of a women there. So yes, and for my fellow panelists, let me all wish all the women in the world a very, very happy International Women's Day. It's really pity that there are special days when we think especially about these people. And it's not only about the Women's Day, it's everything. Like today also in India, we are celebrating Mahashivratri. So many people will be talking about Shivratri. But God, women, they are all around us, and it should not be on a special day, but we need to do on a day-to-day work. And that is what I am proud of, that I have been associated in the UN SCAP Delhi office, working for the last 4 years on empowering women. I won't say we are working on women equality or gender equality, but we are working on empowering women. And we did, I won't praise, but yeah, it was quite interesting, satisfying to create a network of more than 3,000 women in South and Southwest Asia, seeing how they can promote their business through the digital platforms. And we did a lot of training for them, capacity building, as well as networking. So it's a short time, Karan, so I will stop here, and maybe then you can pose certain questions in subsequent rounds.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajan. I think that was great. And as I said, I've seen firsthand, as you said, more than 3,000 women. And when you see a hall full of women, it's an amazing power talk actually happening over there. So thank you for sharing that. I am going to go to Prabir Roy, again, as I said, who wears multiple hats, being an executive director, as well as, kind of also an investor, and has been an advisor on public, private, and international organizations and boards, both in India and the UK. So, Prabir, you've been so active across different sectors, and of course, has seen women in different roles in this sector. So, maybe something that you would like to share with us really quickly.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Karen. Great. Thank you for inviting me on this panel of illustrious people. And putting together this program at very short notice is always a pleasure to be associated with many of your events. I think you told me yesterday that the topic was male allying, so I just kind of keep it short and talk about my own experience. 2 points. One was that, very early in my career, I had a women boss. And at that time, I was working in the government of India, the Department of Atomic Energy. And many of my colleagues and even seniors said, this is not a good idea. Your career will be affected, yada, yada, yada. So I was pretty young. So I think also I had a thick skin. I didn't understand what they were saying. And later on, I continued to work with her very closely. She was a colleague, but not friend. And at the end, I gave her a lot of respect, and it was a normal relationship like any other male colleagues. So she got the fact that I was, very gender neutral in my approach. And then she started pulling me in for other activities of hers, which are not in my domain. So we worked together more as allies, not as boss and subordinate or colleagues. And that actually also helped me to sensitize myself as to also, how to deal with, the other side. And my group, which I was heading at that time, was called EDP and Information Systems. And most of my group members were women. So, I had a boss woman, and then all my team members were largely women. So that's one thing which I learned early in life. Secondly, at home, I have 6 women around me. My mom, my wife, my sister-in-law, my daughter, and 2 maids. Of course, my mom passed and my daughters left the house. But in a household of 6 women, I used to be the one who used to get dressed the fastest and go down and sit in the car, and then found that I was waiting in the car for half an hour while they got dressed. And then I was calling them off, please come down. So this didn't work actually. So we figured out a rule that I would be dressing up the last, and they would tell me when I should start getting ready. Only then I would get ready. And so this way we could all leave the house together and get into the car together to go for whatever event we were going. So this was another small homily of humble fact that I was always in a rush, but I had to slow myself down till everybody else got onto the same boat. And that has helped me a lot in kind of understanding some of the sensitivities associated with the women. So I thought I'd give you two examples, one from my work life and one from my own house. Karen?
Thanks, Prabir. And I think, that was beautiful that you brought both the things together, right? The workplace and the home. And I think that's is so important for us to understand that how we behave at home, is definitely telling on how we behave in office. But the reverse is also very much true. What you start seeing in the office can start sensitizing you or making you understand and see women in a different light at home. Because when we are looking at women at home, we only have that one lens, the personal lens, right? We don't look at them as professionals, right? We don't look at them as accomplished individuals in themselves. So I think that transition between the home and the workplace, I think, thank you. Our experiences in both those definitely affect who we are and how we are sensitive to women otherwise as well. So thank you for sharing that, Prabir.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. I'm going to go to Dr. Manish Paul, who is the CEO of Microviuma. Uh, he's been an academician from most of his life, and a researcher and a scientist, and now turned entrepreneur. And the work he's doing is absolutely pioneering. So I'm going to ask Manish to share that. But I also want Manish you to touch on one thing that you were very vociferous about when I first approached you to be on this, to talk with us at this session. And you said that, Kiran, I don't believe in gender equality. And I said, great, neither do I, right? And Rajan used the word that the United Nations, talks about gender equality. And so please feel free to talk about each other's discussions and points as well, of course. So Manish, yes, over to you.
Okay, so thanks, Caron, and thanks for the panel. Of course, I would probably allude a little more on the gender equality point. What I mean actually when I say I don't believe in the way it has been defined, right? Not that I don't exercise equality or equity there. So I'm a scientist by training and by practice. India has been doing research in discovering newer molecules for a very long time, from time immemorial. We've been trying to do, and we always look for endorsement from global agencies such as US FDA or EMA. For the first time, one molecule invented by Orchid Pharma in Chennai, it's called as N-metazobactam. It is the first ever molecule from Indian soil to have reached the global market, and it has been approved by the US FDA and the EMA just on 22nd of February. And I'm proud to have been its project lead and the co-inventor, the main lead of the program from biology. So that's my achievement in scientifically. When I talk about gender equality, again, I'll tell you, the way I look at gender equality is gender uniqueness, right? There is a lot of confusion what I see between sex and gender. Both are, important determinants of health and well-being. When I talk of sex, there are two chromosomes, right? It's X and Y, which play the whole game. They are the ones who do the conversion of an embryo into either a male or a female, and the gonads which come together and form as either male organs or the female organs. But gender, I look at it as more of a socially constructed roles, behaviors, identities of male, female, and that kind of a thing is what I'm looking at. But many times what happens in workplaces, it is looked up on as a sexual oriented division. I believe there are no two men who are equal, right? Every one of us are unique. And I think that respect for oneself and the other human being per se is all is required. And there is nothing called equality here. Respect for each life on earth itself speaks about equality. If I am able to respect myself, I should respect others also. It is in that context I say I don't believe in general equality the way people are, making it like a taboo, and oh, they're feminist, and these are chauvinists. I think there has to be a slight balance between them. That's what I'm trying to assess there.
Wow, that was really well put. And I first time I've heard the word gender uniqueness. And I think that's so true, right? who are you and me to decide if somebody is a male or a female? I mean, beyond, like you said, the biological aspects of it, right? The differentiating between sex and gender. I think that was fantastic. And trust a scientist to bring up those kind of absolute technical details. So I think, and also when you look at gender, we kind of say, oh, being aggressive is a male trait, and being, soft and emotional is a female trait, right? And I think that's so wrong, right? And while Prabir said only women take a lot of time to dress up, Prabir, let me tell you, I know enough men also who take quite some time, grooming themselves. Okay, so let's believe that it is. I mean, and in a lighter tone, of course, that we can have women who can be quite assertive, and if not, why use the word aggressive? I don't know why we try to cushion it and say no, she's being assertive and not aggressive. Why? A woman can be aggressive, and at the same time a man can be very emotional. I mean, what's this whole thing that we teach children that boys don't cry? I think definitely, like you said, it is every person is unique, and how much they have so-called male traits in them or female traits in them is what makes them a whole person, and we need to embrace them as a whole in their whole authentic self. So thank you for pointing that out. We're going to go to Percy Ghaswala, who's the founder trustee of Ghaswala Vision Foundation. Percy, I know for so many years, has been doing some, yeoman service with what he's doing in terms of supporting vision, okay, as a crucial, critical aspect. And I know many women don't even realize that they have vision problems, right? Till it is really, really too late. So, Percy, please do share with us some of your thoughts and experiences.
Great. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I'm Percy Ghaswala, and like Karen said, we are founder of the Ghaswala Vision Foundation, and we work in a very niche area. We work in the space of reversible blindness. So we restore vision to those abandoned, poor, underprivileged sections of society who have nowhere to go. And there is a layer below the underprivileged. We call it under the underprivileged. So that is the layer we are looking at. And we see some alarming inequalities over there or imbalance over there. And there are reasons why the women have been kind of sidetracked or pushed aside. And some of the reasons were quite alarming, because when we started working, we never quite realized that if a woman is visually impaired, then it's easier to grab her rights, her property, her share, her wealth. So that's also one of the reasons why the women are not really encouraged to be a part of the mainstream. And as you go down into the rural sections, it's totally patriarchal. It's male dominated, and we've had a practice of kind of taking every patient the way they come. In the sense, we don't differentiate at all between any kind of gender, caste, creed, religion, whatever. But as long as there is this, issue of caste, creed, gender, and religion, as long as we will have bastis of Brahmins and Harijans and Muslims and Hindus and so on, we will have this, kind of split between ye to aurat, and most of the time it's aurat. They don't even use the name, which is so depressing sometimes, because we literally have to probe, bhai naam kya hai? So, and it's like, ye aadmi hai, ye aurat hai, and we are still there. So these are some of the things that we see, and this is what where the real India lies.
Absolutely.
And Manish put it very well, that it's all about individuals. So you will, even in these underprivileged categories or classes, you will find women who are quite well-spoken, rather not outspoken, but well-spoken. They can get their message across. And there are some who will probably not speak. They will say, nahi, wo to hamara aadmi jane. So they will not probably be allowed to speak, or they don't want to speak, or they're programmed to remain shut.
Wow. Thank you so much, Percy. I think that was beautiful what you just said. Not outspoken, but well-spoken. And this is the other thing I think we should start thinking about, right? What is the language we use? Just like I said, assertive against aggressiveness. I think similarly, not outspoken, but well-spoken. I think we need to change our language. I mean, like you said, addressing a woman as aurat, not even giving them the dignity of a name, no, there's no sense of agency that is given to them, right? And so I think bringing that out, and as you said, that's another India altogether, which we don't even understand, we don't realize it exists, leave alone understand, right? And so bringing that into our, and I think one of the things, Percy, what you just said, how do we take this down to, or help others to understand it, is starts from our own homes, right? We have maids, we have drivers, this whole vulnerable group that we have, and more often than not, they are very much in touch with us, and we can teach them, not teach them, at least guide them, expose them to these kind of thinking and thoughts, and can make such a world of difference, right? So thank you for pointing out, as you said, the really vulnerable groups who suffer from multiple identity crises and vulnerabilities, not just about being a caste-based, whether you're minority or not, but a double whammy in terms of being caste discriminated as well as, gender discrimination. So thank you for pointing that out of us. So I'm going to go from now to another world altogether with Jatin Ahluwalia, who's the director of 7-3 Sports. So Jatin, take us to the world of sports and tell us what it is like for gender balance as part of the agenda for our world. Over to you. Jatin, you're on mute.
Thanks so much for having me here, and so lovely to hear wonderful views. There is, as a sports entrepreneur who's trying to make few things put together, bring some concepts alive, there are some really fascinating examples in our world when it comes to the topic we are talking today. I'll give you two perspectives, but before that, there is this little lyric, that song that plays in my mind when it comes to a topic like this, that I'm every woman. And that beautiful song of I'm every woman really talks about the real personality of a woman who's not a fake person. She's always ahead to take risk for family, like mother takes care for child. And she's the one who actually consists of strength and beauty, which is inborn and real and inside. So on this special day, I'm every woman. That's our salute to our counterpart, our better counterpart. The two perspectives I like to give is that there is something topical going on, the Women Premier League. Now, the Women Premier League is probably one of the very, very relevant and strong example. To put it in this way, this is a brainchild of an organization, BCCI, which is male-dominated. And they have demonstrated wonderful care for women counterpart, women athlete. And it is so proud for us as Indian that our cricket board has created something which no other cricket board has even come close to. And come to think of it, Harmanpreet Kaur, one of the leading cricketer and India's captain, world's #1 cricketer in this category, Smriti Mandhana. These are wonderful athletes trained by a male coach. And so is P.T. Usha, who won India's first gold medal in that category, is trained by a male coach. And I think these are real example of how men and women have really worked together and how they have, shown ambition to be able to be part of a woman's success. And I think we can only see the WPL example grow in this country. May more sports body come forward to support female athletes the way BCCI has amply demonstrated. And in the other perspective, we felt that we have let Sakshi Malik we had let her down. She had to return her medal. She had to call it a day because she wasn't able to fight the system. And however empathetic we felt, including myself, we don't think so. We've done enough for her, to be fair. So it's actually on both sides. But yeah, so it's actually on both sides, but the BCCI, male-dominated organization giving rise to WPL, and these female athletes trained by male coaches, we can't be more real than that in that example. Back to you, Karen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jatin. I think I love the example you gave about mentoring and the role of mentoring to make sure that women get a place at the table, right? Or in your case, a space at the sports ground, and the different stadiums that are coming up, that women get their place to really show their skills and be able to participate effectively on a grand scale and not just in the backyard, right? Hiding from others to show that they love sports. I mean, I think that's such a great example that you gave. And of course, the examples of what our athletes sometimes have to go through and fight the system, sometimes to be able to even get a voice out there or even be able to achieve their dreams and goals. So thank you for pointing out those kind of negative issues that we are also dealing with all the time as well, right? But the role of mentoring, yes, is extremely important. And I know most of you have obviously mentored and supported women, but we need to encourage more men to do that. And I would want those of us who are on LinkedIn with us to please keep posting your questions and any kind of thoughts you have based on what we're discussing right now, right? So, so from one Jatin to another Jatin. We have with us Jatin Gandhi, who's the executive director, editor at Jagran New Media, and who again is a great friend, and I know does some amazing work, talking about fake news, misinformation, and which is playing havoc in people's lives, and we know that for a fact. More often than not, it is women who get trolled. It is women who are the targeted of, and we know of some very recent cases as well that has happened. But I will let Jatin say and speak more about this. So, Jatin, did he drop out? Did that happen? Did he lose connection? Okay. So then in that case, we can go to another media person till he joins back. Is Jatin back? No, right? Okay. Then maybe what I can do is, as I said, go to another media person, Shoaib Khan, who is the special correspondent for the Times of India. So Shoaib, you have got a lot on your shoulders right now, being part of media and the role that it plays in depicting women. And of course, women have been quite vocal in the media space as well, occupying quite a lot, whether it is digital, whether it's print, so it would be great to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the changing role of gender balance? Over to you.
Good morning. And first of all, I'm based in Jaipur, which I think Karen has forgot to mention. And I think, in this subject of gender balance, every individual has its own story. So my story obviously starts like, big, almost 10 to 15 years ago. So I was obviously like, born, brought up in a patriarchal society. We were not aware of the importance of the subject. So obviously, because of the institutional changes by the government, by the corporate policies, and obviously the civil society movements. So that actually has impacted a lot. That has impacted a lot of individuals, including me as well. So I'll talk about my personal journey. Then what I have been doing is that now started like, identifying my wife in all social gathering first, introducing her first. I identify myself as the husband of my wife in all the greetings which we gave, right, to our, like, to seniors, to juniors during the festivals. I start by writing the name of my daughter first, my wife, and then my name. So I think that's the learning that I have like imbibed from others, maybe because, as I said, like, the impact which we are witnessing over the years because of the focus on this subject and because of the work which has been done by many of you are here. So that actually is bringing a change, a step-by-step change, but it's a significant change, I would say, a transformational change which is taking place with most of the individuals like us and like many of you out there. So now when we talk about a workplace, obviously like media is the fourth pillar of democracy, and obviously like gender balance reporting, it's very, very important. Now it has come to the fore now. In every newsroom, those reporters or the editors who are aware of this subject, they are actually now implementing and introducing a lot of measures to ensure the gender balance reporting is reflected on day-to-day basis. Like, for example, I would like to give some examples. Like recently, we are done with the profile of students who are appearing in board exams. So we have carried 20 profile of students, of class 10 and 15th of class 12 students. So in that sense, what we have done is that we are now mindful of the fact that half of the students, they have to be women or the girls, half of them the boys. So that's how we contribute. That's how we make sure that there should be a balance reporting is taking place. And because of this awareness, because of this sensitization, now actually the reporting on women's side, reporting on women, their achievements, their contributions has increased manifold because our outlook has changed. Our attitude has changed and perception has changed. So when we go out and when we look for something, so naturally, the contribution of the women or the perspective of the women, it actually comes like, to the fore, and we actually try to capture that first, because obviously that the entire ecosystem which is being building up, and I'm sure that like in the coming time, if this ecosystem will start like continue to build up in the coming years to come, then obviously like we're certainly going to achieve something which we all are like striving and struggling for. So I think that's what the collective ecosystem, like with obviously the media is on the fore, we have other gentlemen right here as well, who are actually like contributing for this cause. So I think it's a collective mix of a thing, and that's how like we can make changes individually and plus also on our like workplace as well. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Shoaib. I think what you said is so true, right? It's about how we present the women in our lives, is really the starting point as well for the way people perceive them and see them, right? And so, I think that's a great example to talk about. And of course, being conscious that whatever you do has an equal, balanced approach to the participants. I think in every program we do, in every initiative we take up, of course it's never going to be exact, that's equality and saying no, everything must be absolutely equal. No, so absolutely not. But just being mindful, just being conscious about it at every level. And they say even changing a small line in an advertisement, saying that women applicants are what you call it, encouraged, I think suddenly changes and puts a trigger that okay, I am being called, I am being asked to join this. And I said, I think, what you said again about making sure, being mindful, and taking care that there are as many women in a program or girls, children, I think is really amazing. And the earlier we teach men and boys to think like this, the better I think our society is going to be for that. So thank you again very much for this. We're getting questions on LinkedIn, and we will come to that very soon once we get all our male allies to be able to say what they have to. Yeah. So I'm going to go next to Ritesh Sharma, perhaps one of our youngest over here, who also has had some phenomenal career in the business world, but also part of Rotary and the role that an organization like Rotary can play, bringing businessmen together, is phenomenal. So Ritesh Sharma, who's the VP Corporate Affairs at Natraj Proteins, I think Ritesh, over to you, and definitely looking forward to getting your views as well.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And Karen, thank you for having me here in this esteemed company. So I am based in a place called Itarsi. It's a town south of Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. It's a very small place. And we get to see the gender equality or inequality at a more closer basis in small places in India. And today, being the International Women's Day, I would like to talk about something very, very positive, which I experienced only last week. We attended a meeting of the Anganwadi workers in Itarsi. And, I've been hearing this word Anganwadi and Anganwadi centers for a long, long time. But when we went to attend that meeting and saw the enthusiasm of the Anganwadi workers, oh, phenomenal. I mean, I was ashamed that why am I not doing something like this? And it's only the women who can do it. I don't think men are capable of being so caring and being so dedicated to the, working for the society and bringing up the lives of the small children. And they were so positive and they were so enthusiastic about their work that I was really impressed, and it made me kind of feel a bit little that and that kind of work is getting done, and women are leading the charge. So it's really, really great. And apart from that, from Rotary point of view, as an initiative of Rotary International, we've been working to provide micro entrepreneurship skills, especially to women and children, where they can, take charge of their life and not be dependent on others. And we also run a school here, and using Dr. Paul's word here, I've been trying to look for a word here. So he provided a gender uniqueness. We try to teach in school that, okay, there are girls and there are boys, and you're just humans. So just learn to cooperate and accept each other as how you are and respect each other. So that is one effort that we are making from the very beginning, from the very inception.
Great.
And one last thing I would like to add is today is Mahashivratri. And we all know that, Lord Shiva is also worshipped as Ardhanareshwar, whereas he is half woman. Parvati is never worshipped as Purusheshwar, what I'm trying to say. So men have to become equal to women, and it's not the other way around. So we have to strive harder and, provide that equality to women, and we have to strive to be better. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ritesh. I think that was really great hearing also the religious aspect of what Mahashivratri is about today. And I think, as you said, that the kind of work that women are doing, it's really amazing. But at the same time, I think, does that lead to stereotypes? I mean, this is just a thought for us to think about and maybe have in a discussion later on, that this is a work that only women can do. Just as sometimes we feel this is the work that only men can do. We need to get away from those stereotypes as well, because I know so many men, including some of you, who are so caring and concerned about, your families and the people that are working with you, etc. So I think that those stereotypes also is part of that thing that we need to be conscious about, that we're not reinforcing those, but saying, yes, of course, that's a great thing that women can do, but of course a man can do it as well. Yeah. And the reverse, of course, is the same, right? So thank you very much, Ritesh. And yes, we are going to go now to Rajshekhar, who is a Indian Forest Service Forest Conservation Official. So taking us to the world of nature and environment. And one more thing I realized, I should have said this right at the beginning of our call, is that all of you are from very diverse sectors, but also from across India. We've literally got every one of you from practically different, all the different corners of India. So really, really happy to also see that, right from Itarsi to Jaipur, to Bangalore, to, of course, Delhi, so it's a great thing to see this happening as well over here. Yeah. So Rajshekhar, take us to the world of nature and forests, and please do tell us how you look at gender balance from that lens. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, all the dignitaries present here. In fact, Dr. Ritesh has spoken my morning message to all the women across the globe. That is the Lord Shiva. We are celebrating Mahashivratri and International Women's Day. The Lord Shiva is supposed to be the Ardhanarishwara, as Dr. Ritesh Sharma has just now mentioned. So this came into my mind, in fact, in the very first thought today. So I had put this message across the social platforms and other things. So I am so happy that another gentleman also has reflected that when we treat our women, as our equal half of the problems will be solved. When we treat our women as our better half, then only half of the problems will be solved. When you treat them full or equal, not just half, then the complete problems will be solved. I am representing the forest department in the Indian Forest Services, and currently we have several women officers. In fact, recently the trend has been very good. There are several women officers, IFS officers, and also the field staff now in across the country. We are recruiting a lot of range officers in the rank of inspectors or the sub-inspectors and the forest guards, the cutting edge staff. The sensitization of this particular recruitment has happened really as a great transformation. Otherwise, the forest department was a male dominant society, the community. The forest department had never any women staff in the field previously, maybe 5-10 years before, except for entrants like IFS officers. Yes, IFS is equal, but the cutting edge staff, the forest department, the cutting edge staff in the field, we never had, except for the officers. Office means we have officers. So superintendents or the junior assistants, clerical staff, administrative staff, there were a lot of women power. But currently we are recruiting, and this sensitization has come into the play through the people's participation. What the department considered was the women are more socially sensitive, in fact, to listen to the people and to resolve their problems in the field, especially in the forest department. So this recruitment has happened over the past 1 decade now, and we are also giving like the working system. The forest department wants the working to be 24/7 usually, because we are also into the enforcement agency. We are also in enforcement. We are protectionist. We are conservationist. So we have multiple roles. We have multiple roles. So, but as far as the sensitization is concerned, we provide the range officers with the ammunitions and arms and ammunitions also in several states, not in across the country. It depends upon the state to state, and also we sensitize them to be very perfect in their working hours. And recently in Tamil Nadu, it has happened that in police department, the women police constables or the staff, the rank below the inspectors are not put on night duties. So that also we are trying to follow in our forest department as well. And some more sensitizing issues in case of working hours and working conditions, we have tried our level best to improve upon. So with this small little message, we are trying to celebrate as best as possible the Mahashivratri, to the blessings of to invoke the blessings of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, and also the Women's Day. Wish you all the best. Wish you good luck all. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And yes, many things to think about, because like you said, there have been areas that women are not allowed to come into, or they have not been a part of it. So obviously that change has to be accelerated, and we need to do things to accelerate it. And again, here the thought of women having guns in their hands or using ammunition, etc., is something that is so supposedly so alien. And the minute you do see it, you're almost thinking like, how can they be doing that, right? It goes against everything that women are thought about. Like, so yeah, I think thank you for showing that there is change happening on the ground, happening in areas that were totally male bastions. So it's great to hear that and see this, right? Unfortunately, looks like Jatin Gandhi has not been able to join back, but we move to Dr. Madhav Sate. Dr. Madhav Sate is going to take us to the world of medicine, right? But also because being at Bombay Hospital, but also being such a grounded person in the work that he's doing through the Bombay Mothers and Children Welfare Society. And I know for a fact, in fact, my first meeting with him many years ago was on a project on menstrual hygiene. Again, a taboo subject where men are definitely never been seen as a part of that problem. So, and moreover, pushing it as a social enterprise and not just about philanthropy and charity. So I think he has a great innovation and pioneering streak that was just something that we both hit off and found so much in common. So, Dr. Madhav, over to you, please.
Thank you, Karen, for having me here. Good afternoon, everybody. It was pleasure listening to you all. I work in the organization, as Karen mentioned. It's a sustainable social enterprise rather than the only philanthropy. And we are not very happy with the tag not for profit. So we use the tag not for loss, because we have to be sustainable so that we can keep on doing our projects. Now, this organization has 96% of a women staff. Only 4% men work in this organization. An organization has prospered in last 35 years that I am working over here, not only in the, as far as sustainability is concerned, but the range of projects that we are doing into health, hygiene, education, vocational training, environment, and creating a behavioral change into a rural area. Today, a school in a Adivasi village, Kadachiwadi, is celebrating the Women's Day with, they invited, the teachers are male. They invited our organization to do a medical camp for all the women in the village. And that's the way that the men are getting participated into the women health and the women empowerment. So that's the behavioral change that we are bringing in. And I feel that at grassroots level, when you have the behavioral change, then the women empowerment will come into the force and it will stay. Of course, city and the rural environments are different. Their problems are different. Way we have to look at it is also different. And there, whether we like it or not, the girls leave the school by 4th standard because they have to walk 4 kilometers to attend a 5th standard school. And they cannot do that on a lonely road because they are coming to the age. So parents are not very keen on sending them to the school. So unknowingly how the women empowerment or gender becomes biased. That's a situational biasness, not that the parents don't want to send them to the school. So what we are doing is that we are constructing a classroom into all these tribal villages, trying to do that so that they can learn at least about 7th standard, which is a reasonable good education to help them to work into the society with a pride. So that's what our organization is doing. Now we talk about a menstrual hygiene. We do have in a rural area. You will be surprised that we do gender sensitization, menstrual hygiene, and the sex education as a regular lectures into the schools, and the parents come and invite us to do that. So now we have to decide whether cities are future thinking or the rural people are. And they do come and we tweak the program by calling the mother with the daughter so that the dialogue at home continues. And similarly, the father with the son. And it's all scientific orientation has been given to the program. And of course, we do, for a younger generation, we do provide them the sanitary napkins. But the problem that they face, and the city people, we say that you should use the sanitary napkins without understanding that there is no disposal system. They cannot dispose it off. So whenever they want to dispose of, they are bringing their privacy into public. So the girl in the 9th standard, with the help of a science teacher, has developed a sanitary napkin incinerator machine from the waste products. And we are now promoting her as an entrepreneur. And how we promote an entrepreneur is, we said that we have given her a mentor. She will do the fineries of the machine and we will purchase 50 and keep it into 50 villages. So she will get a business and she will stabilize into an enterprise very quickly. So these are the different ways that we are looking at the gender thing into a rural area. And I hope that we will take a longer strides sooner and we will keep on progressing. Thank you, Kat.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, and more power to you. To be a non-profit is not what is important. To be a not for loss is even more important, because I think otherwise, how do you maintain the sustainability and the long-term, approach to creating better solutions for the world? So thank you so much, Dr. Madhav, for changing. I love the new words that are coming out from this conversation. I think it's been simply amazing. And of course, we've had a chance to listen to each and every one of our really amazing male allies just now. So we are going to open it up, and feel free now to talk in any point you feel like jumping in. Please do that. But before I kind of do this, Manish, I know you wanted to say, and I can see that Rajan has been answering all the questions from LinkedIn, one by one. So thank you for doing half of my work is already done. And of course, anybody else wants to add to those questions and answer, please feel free to come in. But Manish, yes, you wanted to answer something to what Dr. Madhav wanted to say, has just said. So please do come in, and yes, then we'll move the conversation forward based on that. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Dr. Madhav, it's brilliant what you're doing. And for an academia, I would recommend, very important thing is there is a company by name Anabio in Bangalore. So they have developed a flushable sanitary pads. Okay. So the girls, I was being head of the institution, I mean, as a campus director of 13 institutions. And every time I installed a incinerator, girls are still not willing to use it. The reason being they still feel the smell which leaves, they don't want it to be identified. So this is a very, very, very interesting concept of flushable sanitary pads, and they're biodegradable down the line. So I think that is something you may want to look at school systems, especially. It works quite well among young girls.
There is no drainage system over there, sir. In a rural area, there is no drainage system. So that's the main problem. So that is not usable. What we can use over there is a washable napkins.
Yes.
And I think that why we say that they're unhygienic. They clean, wash it, and they dry it into UV rays of the sun. They are making it sterile also. So why do we think that only pads are sterile and they are using unsterile thing? So there is no scavenging system whatsoever.
Right. No, so I think that's the reality, of course, the rural areas. But at the same time, I think this innovation is really great. And Manish, thank you for reminding me about that. And I think we should talk about this more because it is a very important solution as well. So thank you for sharing that. And yes, of course, as Dr. Madhav said, there are realities and that we need to understand that no one solution is, fits everything. And we need to be able to adapt to different contexts. So thank you for sharing that. Yes, Rajan, you wanted to say something. Please come in.
Yeah, I just wanted to share one of my personal experiences and then talking about generally gender equality that is how it starts. Just respecting his views. You see, I'm talking about 1939, and you can imagine what was the Indian society of rural place in Bihar, and what would have been the position of a widower.
Yeah, Rajan, your voice is a little low. Maybe if you come just a little nearer. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Thanks.
Okay. Maybe because of the internet or something, right? So what I'm talking about a situation in a village in 1939 of a widow who was just 28, 29 years old. And imagine if she has a son of 1.5 years. I'm talking about a story of my father and so women empowerment, if you see, I have seen from my mother, grandmother, that at that stage of time, when my father was 1.5 years, my grandfather died, and still, despite all the odds, and half of their property was taken by, so she still insisted that her son will become an officer and not a clerk, because that was the time my father was very strong in education, always taught. And the people said, oh, he will get a job and put them in. She stood all alone at that moment of time. I'm talking about 1939. That is, so when I agree when you talk about individuals. But again, when she narrated her story, when my father narrated his story, that at one point of time he was studying in Patna Engineering College, from Patna railway station to the engineering college, which was around 14 minutes. He used to walk and not take a rickshaw. Even one Anna at that moment of time was somehow one feeling nostalgic.
Absolutely.
He says that it was only his mother who brought, and where he retired as one of the top bureaucrats in India. But I have seen that. But still, there is another narrative. And the other narrative where we are talking about the gender equality is the mindset of a society that you feel women as weaker. And I will give you examples. You look at a policy, you look at a labor wage rates. Is the labor wage rate for a male and a female same? We are talking about women empowerment. You pick up 5 top women into the world in the corporate sector and you say, oh, empowerment has happened. But what percentage of the women are in the top making? Do we accept women as a boss when she comes out with a new idea? The other thing which I would like to say is, and that's again a real story when we were doing the training for the women entrepreneurs. Many of the women, in Indian society, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, anywhere you go, the property is manned by the husband or the son. It doesn't go to the wife, right? She is a subsidiary. And many of the women entrepreneurs who wanted the loan from the bank, they did not get the loan from bank because they do not have the collaterals on their own name. And the bank manager will say, Madam, aap apne husband ko le aiye na, kyun nahi liya? Now, is this a women equality we are talking about?
No, that's true.
So definitely, we all are unique, and everybody has his or her own, struggle to strive to best and succeed. Gender against the violence against women, and we have seen when it was a COVID, and you look at why is it that even if a woman who is working, we still think as a society that she is responsible for cooking and taking the care of the child. How many times of all these males around the world have changed the nappies of their kids? Not many. But we expect the women to do that because it's a normal business.
Right.
Now, so, I mean, these are the perception, the mindset we need to change. Yes, biologically we are equal. Chromosomes. Men are not equal, and so women also not equal. They all have their own uniqueness, but we do require at some point of time to the weaker sections of these women who are deprived to help them. And that is what is the change we all need to. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
very passionate about it. I can speak all day on this.
No, and thank you for sharing that personal. When I first heard it from you, I got goosebumps, and I'm so glad that you kind of shared it also with us at this session. So thank you so much. Praveen, yes, you wanted to say something. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, just to follow on from what Rajan and others have been saying, I'm from the tech sector, and specifically in the fintech sector. But do you know, all of you know, there is something called the femtech sector, female health, wellness, and well-being. And femtech is a very well-established subsector in India related to women's health, fertility, reproduction, wellness, etc. And it's a $4 billion market in India itself. So, and there are some companies, and there's a very well-known LinkedIn site called Femtech India. Probably you might want to onboard onto that, Karen, to bring some of those people in, because many of the solutions all of you are talking about, mainly the rural areas. Most of these femtech companies are actually providing solutions for those areas which are underserved, not so much on the metros. So I think working closely with such people on the tech and wellness side will probably help in going forward and taking low-cost solutions, whether it's sanitary pads, pregnancy, health, a little more wider than what it is today using people. So less people intervention and more use of technology, low-cost technology will probably be a good, takeoff platform for addressing some of these issues. Obviously, as Rajan said, that attitudes have to change and behavior has to change, and then mindsets will change. I think that will take time because India, we're already 75 years old. I'm hearing the same old, same old phenomena even after so long. So it's changing, but changing slowly. In some parts of the country, we're very advanced. In some parts of the country, we're very backward. So let's keep in mind that changing minds takes longer, but using technology will be able to probably give you a bit of a boost in addressing some of the problems as we go forward.
Absolutely. I think, technology is both a boon and a bane, right? And the way we manage it, the way we take it, I always use this word, when I did my engineering, we used to always talk about this FIFO and LIFO, right? First in, first out, last in, last out. So I believe that now in today's day and age, we need a new terminology, and I think about it as GIGO and BIBO. So what is GIGO and BIBO? GIGO is garbage in, garbage out. So if we don't think properly, we are going to obviously get nonsense out of it. Secondly, BIBO is bias in, bias out, especially with artificial intelligence and what we are seeing happening all around us. If there is bias going in, there will be bias going out. And there are enough of incidents on media being reported, not least of which was, Google itself, right? Talking about the kind of biases that are there. So I think, and what we've seen from Saudi Arabia, I mean, unbelievable, right? So we are definitely seeing this happening. And therefore, we need to be careful of both GIGO and BIBO. So new language.
I want to add one more. It is called GIMO.
Okay.
Garbage in, manager out.
All right. Thank you for adding that one as well, Praveen. So, we are coming to the end almost of this thing. We are trying to do more question answers, which is coming in from LinkedIn, which is coming in from the chat. So I'm going to go next to some of the questions, which I'm keeping it open, and anyone can come in, of course, to answer. I know we've been answering some of the LinkedIn questions as well, and we are posting it on LinkedIn. But I also want to say, please start tagging men. My request to everybody who's listening in on LinkedIn, as well as all our, male allies here, please start tagging other male allies that you know, so that they start sharing their stories with us. And hopefully we will have this great compendium at the end of this month to be able to use it as a tool to really encourage others, motivate others, inspire others to take on better roles and do better in the whole gender balance issue, right? So I think Rajesh Shekhar has put this wonderful thing about what we need to stop doing, and I think it's really poetic, and we are going to share that also on LinkedIn very soon. So please keep the comments coming, the questions coming, and we're not yet done as yet. Yeah. So my basic question, I think, to all of us over here is really, what are the challenges, towards ensuring gender balance in society and the workplace, right? What are these barriers? We know them, of course. All of us are facing them. All of us are seeing them. But I want the male lens. What do you think? We often ask this question only to women. What are these challenges? I'm asking you as men, okay? What are the challenges? And we can be really open and honest over here, which can be some problems with women as well. And I'm fully aware of that. So please don't hesitate. We're not going to do any male bashing here. This is not the place, right? So please, if we can understand from you with the male lens, what are the challenges to ensuring gender balance in society and the workplace? And of course, as I said, it's open to anyone. Yes, Manish.
So I feel one of the things is people should start accepting their strengths and the limitations as individuals. See, when we know our limitations, be it by sex or by gender, accepting that eases out one to become more contributory, and then the divide starts graying off and then disappears. When we say no, we go with this socially defined structures about what a gender or a sex is supposed to be, and how the stereotype has done people into labeling men as one type and the women another type. That should change. And major problem with most of us is A man, even though he is emotional, he says, no, no, I shouldn't cry. You know, I need to hold on to my tears because that is not like a male. And that's rubbish. I think you should be very free with yourself. Similarly to women, they should never even look at a situation and see, oh, that is mostly male dominant, so maybe I may not fit in. They put a restriction mentally by themselves, and when come in with that, probably they start to reflect that in their behavior, and it manifests as more of a weakness in her. Rather, she just walks in like another human being. I'm a human being. I'm a Homo sapien. Just all. As a scientist, I would say we are all Homo sapiens, right? So we come in as individuals, as people, and we just bring in our talents, what we have, and we should accept our limitations and then go for it. I think that would
Thank
be one of the major ways how we can solve these kind of issues as well.
Excellent, excellent. I think yes, we are all Homo sapiens. Great, great takeaway. I think over there. Yes, Rajan, you want to come in, please.
Yeah, I would just give you 3 pointers on this. The whole narrative comes from how society thinks, and we constitute the society, whether it is male or it is female, and that change will not come overnight, right? So the first thing which I think should be brought in is in the education from the schooling, from a very primary schooling on creating awareness, right, on that, so that the new generation which is coming up doesn't come out with that stereotype which myself and other panelists have been talking about, right? That is number one. Number two, I see many of the governments, including India, have a lot of policies on gender empowerment, equality, etc. But I see, and we all see, in the ground, the implementation of that is not that, right? One of the examples I can give you is, any female need. So if it is there, any warrant, anything, or if she makes a complaint, there has to be a woman police officer. But we don't know how many times you have that, and then you can see these all bad things in the society which are happening. The third is also which all inclusive campaigning which requires, and the society need to pick up certain champions, not only female but also male, who can canvas, who can create these awareness. Because canvassing, creating awareness is another, and many self-help groups like you are also working at, right? But in the ground, how this can be translated, and I know many of the civil society organizations, self-help groups, even at the the slum level or a rural level, they are working. I will give you one example. We are now doing 2 studies on empowering women. One, we are looking into how women in the transport value chain participate. We are looking into 4 countries. I think they are on that age. We find when you only see women as a mason on the road construction. You don't see them as bus drivers or truck drivers, but then the whole of a society ecosystem. But there are good things also, because when we interviewed some of the women, they said they feel more safe in traveling in the metro because of the surveillance, than even going into. There are many female cab drivers now who have come in. We interviewed some of them, and they said, "Oh, we are we feel insecure with some of our passengers. So it's not only passengers feeling unsafe from the driver, but there is a whole narrative." The other is we are doing one study on looking into the textile sector, and we are doing Tiruchirappalli, about a lot of, there is a rural to urban migrations from UP, from Bihar, from Odisha. There are young girls who are going to down south in search of job, but the conditions in which they live, the exploitation which happens for them, reflects, I don't want to dwell on it, but definitely in a couple of months we'll publish the report on our website and we'll then disseminate it. There are many such small stories which need to be tackled. India, I mean, if you look at India, it's a big country, it's a huge country. The societal mindset need to be checked. The feudal mindset need to be checked. So it cannot happen overnight. We need to be patient.
So I think from the business side, what one sees is that, yes, there is a old boys club always at work. I mean, you see it every day. It's very subtle, it's nuanced. You won't really figure it out, but it's at work, all right. So you have to ensure that the women, get their voices heard, and you have to play that part of mentoring them to get into those conversations, mainstream conversations. You have to encourage them to break into the through the glass ceiling. In fact, the award ceremony that you got an award, Karen, in every category, I was the chairman or I was on the jury. Every category, there was a tie between a lady and a man. I would say we have to give it to the lady. Number one. Number two, every panel that one is on or one convenes that, I ensure that the women outnumber the men. Number three is when you're recruiting, hiring, promoting, one takes the same approach, that ensure there is slightly more proactive approach to getting more women on board. I was in England last month. I'm working on gender neutrality and diversity on some UK companies. I'll be talking to them in end of April. And they told me one alarming fact. They said we have such talented women who are at the C-suite level, but very few break into the boards or in the top job in a country like England. Australia is better off. England is worse off. So can you imagine civilization which are supposed to be more advanced and modern attitudes still are retrograde in their attitudes? And so, these are some of the things we have to keep in mind. So I'm looking to mentor some of the C-suite men in England, helping them to see how they can break out and get into the men-dominated upper management in Western business companies. Same applies for India, where the board level, again, we have the same problem, not enough women directors, how to get them on board. Senior management, not enough women. So we have to take steps at every time to ensure in our own little way, promote and ensure that the women get obviously they have to be as good, if not better. There's no doubt about that. But all things are the same, they should be given a better up than the guy.
Right. So, one of the questions has come through this thing, through LinkedIn, has been about gender-based violence, right? And that we know is definitely predominantly something that women face and is obviously perpetuated by men. Now, in such a situation, what is it that makes men feel that power is the only language with which they can deal with women or keep them in control, so to speak, right? How can we change that? How can we change that? And what would you be your advice? And this is, of course, open to anybody. What would be your advice to men who think in terms and obviously, indulge in gender-based violence? Any thoughts? Yes, Dr. Satya, you want to say something?
Can you hear?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. I think it is in the mindset. It's not that the women are weak, but they have been inhibited to think that I can control my husband. In many of the places you hear, if not husband, who will? So they take it that this is the norm. So the behavioral change is the only thing that can come in, and that has to be brought in. And in tribal areas, if you see, it's a matriarchal. So the women is the boss in the house, especially in the Adivasis. So we have to learn a lot from them. That it is there, though the behavior of the male is same, but they are the women is the boss over there. So it's a matriarchal society. So I think we can learn from them a lot. And basically the behavioral change. It's not about why men beat and all these things, but the mindset of the entire community has to change. That women are not here as a utility.
Absolutely.
Now we have
so
a very different thing. That when you have a money, they are poor, they are bad. They don't have any power. They can't. When you want equal money in the house, then yes, she is good. She can work. Let her come out and earn money for the house. So these are the differences that in our thinking also persist. So I think we have to change ourselves to control that, and so that the women will come out.
I completely agree that there's a need for behavior change both in the male as well as in the female. Women do need to be stronger, do need to be vocal. Many cases are there where women say, and mind you, this has nothing to do with rural or urban or poor and rich, because we know of enough of gender violence in happening in very, very educated families, very, very well-to-do families, so it cuts across literally all sections of society, and we need to really make that change. And I think on one hand it is about women also changing the way they think and excuse men's behavior by saying नहीं वो तो ऐसा ही है, वो मेरे से बहुत प्यार करता है, लेकिन कभी कभी वो पीता है तो ऐसे कर लेता है, or that he is very insecure, so therefore he takes out his anger and his frustrations on me, and if he doesn't do it on me, who will he do it on? Like, you're not a punching bag, excuse me, right? So I think that change in women's also way of thinking needs to be changed. But definitely, the insecurity or the male ego, which perhaps more often than not leads to this, needs to change. And of course, Percy, just one more second and I'll come to you. And of course, one more thing, yes, we can definitely learn a lot of lessons from matriarchal societies that have shown how men, while being men, can still say that the woman is the main person in the house, or the leader of the family, or the head of the family, right? I think it's a complete shift in the way you perceive your roles in society. So thank you, yes, for sharing that. Percy, over to you, please.
Yeah, just a extension of what Dr. Sathe was saying. It's not just about violence, because violence is also kind of the end result of some kind of mental ill health, or some kind of mentally disturbed situations. So after a certain point, when the mental illness is not addressed, either through counseling or medication or whatever, it can lead to violence. So a lot of cases that we have seen, there is violence almost at the end of it. Yes, doctor. Oh, you are on mute? Yeah. Dr. Sathe, you are on mute. Yeah. No, can't hear. You're still on mute, doctor.
1 minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you unmute?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. What we did was that we taught tailoring to about 3,000 women with a doorstep method. And that has reduced the violence. The day they realize that if I do the violence and if she gets out of the house, she is no more a feeble lady who will come back begging to take in the house. She can now earn for herself. And she can be alone. So no more there are threats coming out from the husbands that I will throw you out of the house. So that is one of the finding, and that is one of empowering in a different way. Not only the tailoring is as an empowering skill, but it empowers them in a different way that I can earn for myself. So stop behaving differently with me.
So I guess financial independence.
Financial independence, yes.
Yes, absolutely. So Jatin, you wanted to say something? Please come in. Yeah.
No, these are wonderful points, but on a very practical note, I think the more active collaboration with women folk, more from a professional standpoint, will make man's life much better, I would say. Personally, every time I have seen competing in any environment, I've given more homework preparation when I had a female opponent. That is because they're very methodical. They are very thorough. They don't take things lightly. And I think if we were to succeed as a society, our more partnership collaboration, Deepa Kamrekar, again giving an example, or Selena Williams, these superstar had fantastic collaborator coach who really worked shoulder to shoulder. And from our house to our workplace to wherever we are in the society, we can make a much better impact or feel more fulfilled as male if we have collaborated better, more equal on a regular basis with a female counterpart, if I could say so.
I think the more we understand this from individual point of view, I think that's the problem, right? We kind of look at things a lot at a collective level and don't realize that each of us can take those steps to change the way people are behaving, the way we are responding to everything. And what we do is a model, okay? Or it can become an inspiration for what others are doing, because people are watching, right? How we are reacting in situations, how we are doing. And so that really can mean a lot if we kind of push the agenda, as you said, and make people change the way they think and respond, right? Ritesh, did you want to come in maybe?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to talk about this gender violence thing. I think when you say how can we change that, I think we're trying to change the evolution that has happened over 10,000 years or something. And I was just thinking, where does the seed lie? It's always you try to hit somebody who is weaker than you. I wouldn't, want to go and punch up Mike Tyson or Sakshi Malik because I know what the end is going to be. So I think it starts when how we treat the kids. If they're not listening to you, you get angry and you give them a slap or you hit them, and that happens across the country. That is when the kid understands that if something is not going to according to my wish, the easiest way to do is hit the person and make them understand. I think that is something that we can address and start making a change there. So when they grow up, they would know that hitting is not the way to get things done. You could probably do it through a dialogue.
So I think, Ritesh, you really pointed out something very important, that this is centuries of behavior and conditioning, right? It's not going to change overnight. It's so deeply ingrained, right? So on one hand, we do need to have some understanding of this, but on the other hand, you also need to make sure that we just don't keep waiting, that it'll take another few centuries for this to change. In fact, research does tell us two things of research that I want to share, which came out earlier as well as with this respect, is one that research says that it's going to take us another 150 years, which means you and me are not going to be alive to see gender equality happening, whether in gender pay, okay, or in care work. Because in care work also, say if in a household there is 10 hours of care work, on an average, men do about 3 hours. Women do 7 hours of work. That's the kind of disparity we are seeing. And this is among people who are working, not homemakers, because otherwise homemakers do almost everything, 9 hours. And just 1 hour is what men may come and, help and support. This is an average, which means there are some who don't do at all and some who do. And the gender pay, if this is how it's going to continue, then whether it is women on boards or whether it is women's gender pay, we are talking still decades away from getting anywhere near that. So there is a really urgent need to start accelerating this process. And that's where what we say, what we do, how do we disseminate this in public or media? And sure, I'm hoping you're going to come in and maybe share a few words as well in terms of what media can do to help us to amplify this is so important. And which is why right now for this very session, while we thought of it very much, at the last moment, we are hoping to really take it and continue and keep a sustained effort on this by compiling more and more of such stories. And as Rajan said, we need to disseminate these things far and wide, these really success stories and inspirational stories. So I'm hoping we're going to share a Google form with each of you. And I'm hoping that most of you will fill up and share your stories with us. Please tag other male allies that are doing great work. And I know there are so many of them. So, the more we bring people to understand these elements, and encourage them to change the way of thinking, as we said, the mental models, that's when we'll really start seeing change happen. We are in our last 5 minutes of this wonderful session, which I think will be really inspirational, not just unique, but definitely inspirational as well, I think, for both men and women who are listening in and who will continue to listen to us over this period of time. So I'm going to leave it now for the last word. Any last word, last phrase, last line, but not longer than a line, because we do want to close at 12:30 as promised. From each one of you would be really wonderful to happen. And I'm just going to leave it open. Whoever would like to start with it, please come in and share your last word. Yes.
Love life, love your fellow beings.
Lovely, beautiful. Okay. Who next?
Start paying the wives.
Sorry?
Start paying the wives for the work that they do at home.
Wow.
There should be a stipulation by the government that the skill level should be determined, and she should get at the end of the month the salary in her bank. I think that will change the.
Great radical thinking over here. Paying for home care.
Madhavji, I cannot agree less, but this has happening in my house for ages. So I need to do
Likewise,
something.
likewise.
But what I would say is it requires two things only in anything you do, and especially in this: your passion and your dedication. If you are passionate about a cause to do and you are dedicated to it, you can achieve it. And I think listening to all the panels was really, really great. There are a lot of things which I have learned from each one's experience. And thank you, Karen, for bringing them in. And maybe I'll get in touch with some of them post.
Absolutely. We must. Collaboration starts here.
On our platform of UN.
Absolutely. No, collaboration starts here. So we will talk more, Rajan. How do we continue with this? Yeah. And, collaborate among ourselves, and of course, encourage more male allies to join us. So thank you for saying that.
I have to leave. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. No problem. No problem. Yeah. Anybody else? Percy? Last thoughts, and then we close.
Let's keep the differences aside.
How beautiful is that? Let's keep the differences aside and come together. Great, great. Rajshekhar, Soeb, Jatin, any last words? And then we'll close.
I think we added, and I think what Percy said is really profound, and I second that. I don't think so anything more can be added after that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Great. So with that, I think we will close. And thank you once again very, very much for joining us, both all our male allies who are on this table right now, but also all those who join us on LinkedIn Live and at the roundtable over here. I think this has been an excellent conversation and very eye-opening, and hopefully makes all of us to think different and act together. After all, for a better world and a greener planet, it takes action and collaboration. Thank you once again, and have a great day, a great month, and a very happy International Women's Day to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So much.